Hi, my name is Tanguy. I'm here with Antoine on the Green League, and today we're going to dive together in Cambodia to put some concrete in the water and protect the ocean. A lot of our staff come from these communities, a lot of our staff come from the coastline, and they know the struggle they face. For example, with the depletion of the fish stock, their livelihood is threatened, so it's very difficult for them to maintain a living, and also culturally speaking, like a lot of them receive fishing knowledge from their parents or grandparents. They want to pass that on to the next generation, but how can you pass on this knowledge when you know there's not going to be any fish to catch? I don't really believe in worldwide NGOs. I believe that the solution comes from local initiative. I believe in general solution implemented locally.
Oipad right now, when you spot from the satellite, it's almost gray. Very few locations have the green space.
After import the solar, my mission was to open a solar factory in Cambodia.
I'm here to talk to Antoine of the Green League, how we transform food systems for farmers and nature.
Going towards regenerative agriculture is a big disruption. It will never come from within the industry. It always comes from outsiders, from startups, scale-ups that have this innovative idea, but also have the capacity to act innovative.
Cambodia could save 20% on their electricity bill as a country.
Okay.
By just from tomorrow saying, for the next 10 years, we just have efficient ACs.
Hello, Tanguy. Welcome on the Green League. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for coming. And
Sure.
Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you for inviting me. So like you said, my name is Tanguy Frenea. I come from Brittany in France. And I work here in Cambodia for an NGO called Marine Conservation Cambodia. I'm the finance manager of the NGO, but I started as an intern, and then I helped in all the implementation of different projects, especially underwater activities, because this is my passion. I'm like fascinated by the ocean, everything happening underwater, and I discovered all of this in Cambodia actually. So pleasure to be here.
Your background is not finance at all. What's your...
my background is political sciences. I studied project management in political sciences, so not quite related to the ocean, but I was always very interested in nature in general and ocean specifically. So yes, after my degree, I really wanted to find a way to connect, these passions.
And actually, your lifestyle is quite incredible. Since you started working for this NGO, you are living part-time on the island and part-time...
Yes. So the NGO I work for, called MCC, they are based on an island off the coastline of Cambodia, so 15 kilometers away. The island has been granted by the government as a sort of research and field station. And so this NGO has established its quarter over there, and we live... So I've lived on this island full-time for many years. And now my responsibility also brings me to Phnom Penh, since I'm making the link with the funders and the government. And so I also live part-time in Phnom Penh now. But yes, originally, most of the team is based on this island, which is a tiny island. It's like 1 kilometer long for 300 meter wide. And we're literally the only inhabitants. There's a small police station because it's close from the border with Vietnam. But otherwise, yes, we're the only inhabitants. So it's a very, as you said, very unique lifestyle. Quite isolated, but quite interesting.
And so what about the marine conservation landscape compared to your NGO focus?
Yes, so marine conservation is a very broad term, and a lot of activity can come under this name. So it's basically the idea of preserving, protecting, and manage sustainably the resource that come from the ocean. So you can do it in different ways. You have ways of protecting very actively and directly marine resources. A very famous example is, for example, Sea Shepherd, who fight worldwide for the protection of emblematic species such as whales, for example. But you can also do it very locally and in a more passive way, let's say, with education, with like awareness campaign. You can run science on the state of the marine resources, etc. So you have like very different way of engaging your time and resources to the protection and management of the ocean. In our case at MCC, we have a very direct approach, very concrete activities on the ground, because we believe that not so many people can dedicate their time and energy for this. And we are lucky enough to have like a strong team, very dedicated team, and to have the backup of the government first, because we are a Cambodian NGO, so we are locally based. All of our activities happen in Cambodia. So it's important to create like strong links with the government. In our case, the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fishery. But also we have backups of funders internationally, locally, etc. So we use all these support and resources to directly protect the marine environment in Cape, where we're based. And in the recent years, we're also expanding our activity in the neighboring Kampot province, and we are working now on the whole coastline. So, yeah.
And so, you told me one of the main issue that you are targeting is about non-selective fishing technique.
Yes.
Can you explain the difference between selective, non-selective fishing technique and its impacts?
Yes, definitely. So yes, when you're interested about the ocean and when you want like a healthy ocean, you have to consider like different factors. In our case, we work a lot with local fishing community, and we work a lot underwater. That's the sort of main streams of information that we receive, what we collect firsthand as scientists, and what we receive as testimonies from local fishermen. And we noticed one main issue, one main problem where we work, is that there is a decrease, a depletion of the fishery resources, and in general, a threat on the health of the ocean, which is called bottom trawling. It's a fishing technique. When you put like a large net opened by two metal doors on the seafloor, and you scrape the seafloor to catch whatever is on the way of your fishing gear. And the problem is, what you just mentioned, is that the bottom trawling is what we call the non-selective fishing method. Why is it called like that? It's because you're catching everything, then you bring everything up on your boat or at your landing site, and then once you're on your boat, you take everything out of the water and you sort out what is going to be useful for you, what has some value to your eyes. But the problem, of course, with this technique, by opposition to selective fishing, is that the vast majority of what you're going to catch first has no value to you. So you're going to throw it away, and most of it is actually going to die. And so you actually, for 1 kilogram of what you're going to catch in a fishing net, only 5 of these 5 kilograms is going to have some value to you. So 95% you literally discard and throw away.
I mean, if you catch 100 kilogram, only 5 kilogram is
exactly
is useful.
Is useful, brings some value to you. So that's why non-selective fishing is completely unsustainable, and that's what we're trying to fight. By opposition to selective fishing, which is you're creating a specific gear to catch a specific animal. For example, Cape is very famous for the blue swimmer crab because it's really tasty. It's very localized in this place. So the fishermen, traditionally and artisanally, they design a crab box that will target only crab. And that's purely sustainable fishing. You put your box in the water and you know you're not going to catch a fish you don't want. You're not going to catch an endangered species you don't want. For example, we have seahorses in Cape and you're not going to catch them because your gear is specifically designed for this. And for us, it's perfect because you know what you want and you know what you do. I think there's a misconception regarding marine conservation sometimes that it's like very, I would say, ocean lovers who absolutely want to protect the ocean at any cost and remove the human equation out of it. I think in some areas, and some people might see marine conservation this way, Our idea is that you can have a strong link between human and their like nature surrounding, and it doesn't have to be conflictual, but you can find a way to like harvest things from the ocean or from nature in general in a sustainable way. It doesn't have to be destructive. You don't have to catch everything in one go. You can do it sustainably if your strategy is a long-term strategy and if it's well managed. And that's basically what we're trying to do.
You told me it's only a very small part of the fishermen communities that are using this technique. I believe it was mainly industrial big boat, but actually not.
Yes.
So who is using this dangerous technique for
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's okay. So trawling is known worldwide. It's a fishing technique that is implemented everywhere in the world. But you have different level of this technique. You have like large industrial vessels in open ocean far away from the coast, and you have smaller scale, like a more like individual vessel in what we call the inshore area, so what's close from the coast. In Cambodia, in the inshore area, we have an issue with smaller scale trawlers, but there are like large fleets of them. From neighboring Vietnam also, it's a technique in Thailand, etc., etc. What we face is Cambodian and Vietnamese trawling vessels from small scale to medium scale. Medium scale would be vessels with up to 15 people on them that have like very large nets and will encompass a larger area and therefore destroying a larger part of the ecosystem. But we also have the smaller vessels with maybe 2 or 3 fishermen on them that every night will come to an area with a smaller gear but just as destructive and will just back and forth slowly but steadily destroy one area after one area to catch everything there is to catch over there.
What's happening in the ecosystem when it's done? What's left? Nothing.
That's the issue is that you have to see it as an underwater bulldozer. So it's like putting a bulldozer underwater and destroying everything methodically to catch whatever has some sort of value. So that's the first step. And in Cambodia and in other places in the world, they found an even more destructive method because they are now plugging batteries and electric wires to the net to be able to send electric shock wave underwater that will just stun all the organisms living there to make them float and catch them with the gear.
So you have a bigger catch.
So you have a larger catch at the end, but so you first bulldozer everything out underwater. On top of that, electric everything out, and then bring it up on the boat. The even bigger problem is electric, is that even if you sort out things on the boat and throw them back in the water, because they've been electrically shocked, they're dead. And so you literally kill everything. So that's the issue we're currently facing in Cambodia, is this unsustainable technique. But the worst thing, like you just mentioned, is that we're talking about a small portion of all the fishermen population in Cambodia. Like fishing is a very big activity in Cambodia. Not only in the ocean, but of course also in the Tonle Sap, in the Mekong. Like the fishery effort in Cambodia is very large and culturally speaking, extremely important. Like it's a really, like a traditionally very well-rooted tradition in Cambodia. For example, 76% of the protein intake in Cambodia come from this like fish, molluscs, all what's living in the water sort of organism. So that's just to say how important it is. But this technique that we're talking about just concerns like a small portion of all these fishermen. But this small
Is it like what, 5%? Or just 1%?
It depends on the areas. Just for example, in Cape, there are 5 fishing community with like hundreds of fishermen. The smallest community is performing trawling. So one community out of 5 and only the smallest one. So that's why, just to give you like sort of a perspective, one of the community is performing like the most destructive activity for an ecosystem that everyone relies on. So it's really, really frustrating, and they catch everything and they are the most destructive, but they represent a small portion of the fishing population. So it's not only unfair in terms of nature management. Of course, for me, like, it's like, I love the ocean and I love like everything I see underwater. I'm fascinated by it. So to me, it's very painful to see destruction underwater. But most of my colleagues are Cambodian. A lot of them are from the coast. And to them, it's also really frustrating and infuriating to see that their family don't catch fish anymore just because a small portion of them decided to perform a very destructive technique. So there is a social problem and a sort of biological, environmental problem at the same time.
And your organization, MCC, launched an amazing initiative a few years ago. Can you tell us about this solution?
Yeah, so basically, when MCC started, they faced this issue very quickly. The problem statement was fairly easy to make because it was so obvious that this was the technique that destroyed most of the resources and cashed most of the resources. That being said, what can you do about it? So they sat down and brainstormed, got inspired by other initiatives, etc. There are two ways of tackling this kind of illegal activities, because that's one thing I didn't mention yet, but this technique is actually illegal. Okay. In Cambodia, you cannot use bottom trawling in water that are shallower than 20 meters. In Cape, the deepest point in the area is 10 meters. So basically, everywhere in Cape, it's illegal. That's one thing. On top of that, Cambodia has a network of marine protected area. In this protected area, bottom trawling is banned also illegal. So you have plenty of places on the coastline where this technique is completely illegal. When you make that statement, what can you do? The first thing you can do is what we call direct active action, which would be, in this case, patrolling. You have a boat, MCC has its own fleet of boats, and together with the government, the fisheries administration, the provincial government, etc., you can implement patrolling techniques and patrolling efforts, where you collect evidence on illegal fishing activity, sometimes confiscate illegal equipment, sometimes fine the illegal fishermen, and the most extreme measure is, of course, arresting them, prosecute them, and sending them to jail. You have different steps before arriving there, of course, but that's the legal framework and the sort of means that you have. But the problem with this technique is that once you stop patrolling, they come back. You know, like if at some point you don't have funding anymore, if you don't have the support of the government or whatever, you stop, they come back. So it's not a long-term solution. And that's where the other solution comes in, and that's what we call the passive method. The idea MCC and its team came up with is that they designed a concrete artificial reef that was heavy enough to entangle this illegal fishing gear. The idea is very simple. You have 2.5 ton of concrete that you put in the water, and because the net is sitting on the seafloor when it's scraping it, it's going to get entangled in this reef, and therefore either they're going to destroy their net or they're going to avoid the area because it's stopping them. It's sort of working as a barrier against this illegal fishing technique. But once you come up with this basic concept, how do you implement it? In our way, we knew that we needed something manual and easy to implement at first, because we're a small NGO. We were running on very small funds. So what we did is that we designed everything for it to be done by human and manually. The idea is that you build small blocks, so roughly a little bit smaller than this couch, and each block is between 150 and 100 kilos. And you do a lot of them. You build up a lot of these blocks. Then you take 20 of them, put them on your boat. You go on the location that you want to protect, drop your blocks in the water, put on diving gear, go in the water without fins, just shoes, normal shoes. You go down in the water and you build up your structure. You so in a sort of tower shape. So like a little bit like Legos, essentially, in a tower shape with your blocks. You make a block that is like between 1.5 meters, I would say 1.5 meters on average on height, quite wide and 2.5 tons heavy. This way, not only you stop the illegal fishing technique, but you also provide an artificial habitat in a place that most of the time has been completely destroyed. Because that's the thing with fish, and that's the problem with this technique. The fish needs, like any animals, they need habitats. All the underwater animals, the fish, octopus, dolphin, whatever, all of them need habitats. Why? For shelter, for food, for breeding, for reproducing in a haven, like safe place. So that's what nature provides originally. When you take that away from them, it's a threat for the population, and usually the population collapses. So the basis of bringing back life in the ocean for nature, but also for the fishermen who rely on it, who fish sustainably, the basis of bringing back this life is to bring back this habitat. And that's what you do also with this structure. You provide what we call an artificial habitat in a place that is depleted of habitat, and therefore life is going to come back on it very quickly. Just to give you an example, we deploy a structure in a place with absolutely nothing. In 1 month, you're going to have first bivalve growing on it, first algae, so algae, shells, etc., growing purely on the structure. You're going to have the first small fish coming back, like small herbivores, juvenile, etc., seeking shelter in the shade of the structure, in the small crevasses, etc. That's 1 month. 3 months, you have larger fish coming, predators that come because they know they are small fish and so they're coming for food. You are going to have the crabs that always looks for holes to hide, etc. You're going to have shrimp, etc. In 6 months, you're going to have larger, what we call pelagic fish, the most famous one being like, I don't know, barracudas or things like this. But you're also going to have like marine habitat growing back. So in the area of Cape and Compote, the main one being seagrass. So it's like an underwater plant that grows just like a normal plant. It's chlorophyllian, so using the light for energy and growing. But you also have corals that can grow on these structures. So you have like a sort of a small ecosystem created around this structure. And that's the whole idea, basically, bringing back this sort of regenerative solution for the marine habitat. And you start small on the sort of local level where you deploy the structure. But after some time, the habitat regenerates around the structure. And of course, the idea is not only to put one structure, but to deploy a network of these structures. And so after a while, you can protect entire area.
How many did you put right now with the NGO?
So for now, MCC, so we started in 2018, when we received the prize from National Geographic for this initiative. Since 2018, we deployed 600 of these blocks. Just to give you an idea, because it's 2.5 ton, we deployed 600 times 2.5 ton. So it's a very intense effort, but it's really efficient. The way we do this is that we have an amazing science team, and the science that they conduct is going to give us the strategy. Is going to allow us to establish the strategy of where is the most efficient to deploy these blocks. For example, we have a very productive seagrass meadow in this area. Our science team establish what are the boundaries of the seagrass meadow and tell us, you need to go there, protect this place. Okay, deployment in go, protect this place. On the other way, our marine mammal research team starts to research the marine mammal in 2017. And they're like, okay, in Cape, there are several species of marine mammals. The main one being Irrawaddy dolphin. We know that they rest in this area, they feed in this area, they reproduce in this area. These are very important areas for these endangered species. You need to protect them, okay? We go there, and put blocks. And that's basically been the strategy originally in Cape. Good thing is, in Cape, we had amazing results. Regeneration of seagrass meadow, so larger seagrass meadow than before. It turns out that one of the endangered species in Southeast Asia called the Dugong is eating, it's like a sort of sea cow, basically, and they graze, they eat the seagrass. And so because we have more seagrass, then they're like, okay, food everywhere for us, so they came back. And they started to graze and eat on this seagrass. So we now have an additional marine mammal species, which is like, I mean, they're a huge thing, huh? They're like up to 300 kilos, they are very large, etc. So it's like a big indicator that the ecosystem is doing better. Because it was successful in Cape, we started to, like, community came to us, local communities, and they were like, oh, we've heard from communities in Cape that they're catching more fish, and that because you stopped illegal trawling, we have the same problem in Compot. Can you please come and help us to do it in Compot? Hop, we moved to Compot, start to do it on a small scale in Compot. People hear about it, communities again, but local government also, and be like, okay, this is very impactful. Like maybe we want to do it on a larger scale. And so that's how the solution sort of came to life and is slowly like growing and growing and growing. So yes.
So now you're at phase, you're already preparing the scale up of this solution in Cambodia, at least?
Yes, that's our idea. That came from this, there is this clear will from the local fishing community to be able to protect their resources. And of course, communities are like everywhere around the coastline of Cambodia, you have different communities. And so we felt that there was like a will both from the government and from this community. Because I think it's one thing that's really important that I didn't emphasize yet, is that we also serve this fishing community. You know, like I mentioned, a lot of our staff come from these communities, a lot of our staff come from the coastline, and they know the struggle they face. For example, with the depletion of the fish stock, their livelihood is threatened, so it's very difficult for them to maintain a living, and also culturally speaking, like a lot of them receive fishing knowledge from their parents or grandparents. They want to pass that on to the next generation. But how can you pass on this knowledge when you know there's not going to be any fish to catch? So it's really difficult for them. And that's why we partner up, we work with this community to be able to restore this livelihood. And they are really motivated. They are so eager to work with us, very demanding, very, excited and motivated. And that when you have the support of local community, at some point, you know that you're doing the right thing. And in our case, this went to the ear of the government. They were like, okay, the community are starting to support this NGO. At the same time, they are promoting some very impressive results on the natural level with the species that I mentioned. And so the government, together with the Asian Development Bank, the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fishery, came to us and was like, okay, you did this very successful initiative in Cape. Cape is the smallest of the 4 coastal provinces. So now if you want a real impact, you're going to need to scale up. So we're going to help you doing that because we have great feedback from community. We've heard that your solution is effective. You need to do that in Compot. It turns out that it's also successful in Compot. Okay. Now there are 2 more coastal provinces in Kampong Som, Sihanoukville and in Koh Kong. So over the next 5 years, we signed the contract with ADB and the ministry to be able to scale up this solution on the whole coastline.
How many structure are you going to put there?
Yes, so
it's going to be the challenge, right?
Yes, the objective is to deploy 5,000 of these structures. As I mentioned, we currently deployed 600. So in your head, you're like, how the hell are they going to be able to deploy so many structures on a larger area with the means that they have so far, which is exactly what was our thought process. And so when we designed this project with the ministry and with ADB, we requested to have some logistical support with the acquisition of an extra boat, a larger barge with a crane that would allow us to intensify the deployment rhythm. Because as I mentioned so far, we're using our own boat, we're using our own staff, and we do everything by hand, which was okay when we were doing it on a small scale. But if we want this solution to be more effective, like it's exponentially effective, the more you deploy, the more efficient. If we want this to be effective, we need to scale up. We need to be able to deploy almost on an industrial level. So that's why we need extra means. And that's where ADB and the ministry comes in. They bring additional funds. They acquire this boat that is going to allow us to recruit more staff, work with the community, and have more better quality equipment, more solid, etc., to be able to deploy all the structure along the coastline.
What's the budget of one structure? Just to have
one structure will cost, I would say, I'd say 500, maybe between 300 and 400.
Just for the material or for the labor cost, everything? Like 300, 400 per
I'd say 500.
Per reef.
I'd say 500 per reef, yeah.
And so what's your budget for the entire project, scale-up project?
So the budget for the entire project is 2.5 million, 2.5, 3 million.
Okay. For the next 5 years?
For the next 5 years, yes. So yeah, I think the math is correct, right? If you have 5,000 structure, multiply by 500, that's, 50,000, 500. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So that's good. The mathematics.
I couldn't do the math.
Math is good. So that's the idea. Yeah. That's the plan anyway. And so far, honestly, so the project has been running for 1 year now. Yeah. And so far it's going really well. We've done a whole phase. The first project, of course, the first part of the project, was that we wanted everyone to know about it. Because, of course, people know us in Cape. People started to know us in Kampot, but we're also going to work in Kokong and Sianuville. And we don't want just to arrive with a big boat and be like, okay, we're going to start building shit around here. So we want, it's not how you do. Like, people are like, what are you doing? Like, I live here.
And in Cape, they know you. It's different. You need to build trust with the communities locally.
Exactly. So that's why the first phase was to communicate with the local community, go to see everyone, and started to chat with everyone, explain the solution, why we do it, what is your take on it? Do you have the same issue? Turns out everyone is facing the same issue, which is bottom trawling. Do you have the will to change this? Yes, all of them do. So this is the solution we came up with. And you start to explain the benefit, the cost, etc. So yeah.
What do you see for, like, after the scale up, like in 5 years, how do you see the coast of Cambodia, can it become?
So the target of this project is to actively protect 40% of all the inshore area. So you take the whole coastline in the next 5 years, 40% of this is going to be fully protected. That's the target anyway. And when you see the impact in Cape, with what I mentioned, more than 2,000 hectares of regrowth of seagrass in Cape, a very large top species that came back because of the food availability. Honestly, you can be super ambitious on the Cambodian level. Because that's the thing that a lot of people don't know in Cambodia, but their ocean is incredible. Like, there's so many things to see. It used to be so productive, so many different species. Like when you come from France and you look at the species you can see in Cambodia, you can see like whale shark, you can see like shark, you can see dolphins, you can see turtles, and on the smaller level, you can see like octopus, you can see like seahorses, the most amazing and weird underwater creature. Like there is everything here. Like, it's incredible. So you just need to provide a framework of protection. And the government is willing to do it. We are willing to put all the effort in it. We have backups. We have the support of local community. So honestly, I'm a very optimistic person in general, but honestly, in that case, like, you can be ambitious and you can be optimistic. Like, there is a very nice way ahead.
And if you go even further than Cambodia, this solution have been tested at other places in the world?
Yes.
But maybe even more than this, what can be your kind of badass dream about marine conservation?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm personally, I'm very much my head into this project right now. And so my answer is a bit biased, I would say. But yes, like I do think that this solution is a right solution, is very effective. And I know for a fact that all the coastline in the world is facing this problem of bottom trawling and unsustainable fishing. So my badass dream, like you say, would be to design a project to bring this solution to the people, because it's cost effective, like it really doesn't cost much. It's labor intensive, but with the solution we're trying to develop right now, it's replicable anywhere. You need very basic material that you can find anywhere. And it's really like, it really brings amazing results. So my badass dream would be to just scale up on a worldwide level. You start in this small place. We're already doing it on the coastline level. To be completely honest with you, we're already discussing to do it regionally, to collaborate with Vietnam, to collaborate with Thailand, because we know they're facing the same issue. And I come from Europe. I know the problem is also existing in Europe, and I already had contact with people who work either as scientists, marine conservationists, and who tell me, okay, I'm from Portugal. I have a problem with bottom trawling in Portugal for years and years, and I don't know how to stop it. Okay, we have a solution. And it's not like I'm going to sell you my solution for $100,000. It's like, I design a training. I have the experience. I just come, I train your team. It's very simple. We practice together. We make sure that it's safe for everyone, that it's like adapted to your means, to your team, etc. And that's it. And honestly, my idea and my dream as an individual, but also like in general for the coast of the ocean in the world, would be to have this tailored training of this amazing solution and to bring this anywhere where it could be useful. Like you mentioned, there are we're not crazy inventors. Like we came up with this idea, but we know that some other people had a different way of implementing it, but the similar thought process. I think the innovation in our case is that you provide a solution like against destructive fishing, but also for artificial habitat. And we found one design that managed to do these two very important things at the same time. And I think that's the innovation in our case. But I think, yeah, my dream is just to create this like amazing network of organizations that have the same goal, and to provide this innovative, cost-effective, and efficient solution to them.
And what do you need to bring that to the world, to scale it up? What would be your call to action to them, maybe to this organization?
No, like to organization, I think it's happening like slowly but steadily, is to strengthen the communication between organizations that have similar objective, to have share knowledge, have like strong networking, strong communication, etc. Personally, like what I appreciate the most about what we do here, and what I appreciate the most in general, is local initiative. I believe, it's a personal belief that I express, but like I believe that the solution come from local initiative. I don't really believe in worldwide NGOs. I don't really believe in large scale solution. I believe in in general solution implemented locally. And that's why like my call for action is sort of always the same when I'm at this question, is you have to dare to start something on your own level. And you don't necessarily have to think about worldwide. You have to start somewhere. And in the case of MCC, like Cape is very small. I don't know if you've been in Cape, but like it's a tiny place and it's a small archipelago. But the solution designed in this place is now being implemented all around Cambodia. Cambodia is a very small coastline, but I do believe that because it's a good solution, this solution is now going to get outside of Cambodia. And so by starting locally, by doing your own thing at your own level, if you do it right and if you find the right solution, it's naturally going to scale up. And my call for action is just act where you know you can. Don't get stressed about the scale that it can take. The problem is so big, there's nothing I can do about it. No, it's not true. Like, you can just
Start small with a little step
Exactly.
at your coast.
Like you can do on your own level. You can start on your small coastline. Like, I come from Brittany. There's a lot of initiative on the Brittany level. Then it's very good. Start on the Brittany level. And if your solution is good for Brittany, then it's going to go outside the same way it did for us. So I think that's the idea. And we are more than happy because we think that we found a suitable solution. Then we can provide support.
You can share it. It's open source, the solution.
Yeah, it's open to, like, we share the solution with anyone who asks for it. Like, my call is also, don't hesitate, contact us. Honestly, we're so happy all the time to share this solution. MCC, Marine Conservation Cambodia, on all the social network possible and imaginable, emails, website, whatever. You contact us, and honestly, working with people that have the same philosophy as us is always so like thriving, you know, like so exciting, fueling of energy. Like it brings us so much like energy and happiness because you know you're not alone in what you do. So
thank you so much for this amazing project that you share with us. Thank you for doing it on the ground with local communities.
Yeah.
And maybe just to wrap it up, what do you see as a key takeaway from this discussion? The fact that your solution is innovative in a way that you combine really two things at the same time?
Yes. I think the key takeaways are I think what's really important is that you find your problem, the main issue that you're facing, and then you design solutions that are tailored for this specific issue. In our case, we had destructive fishing and lack of habitat. You provide one solution that tackles these two problems. So that's the idea. The second takeaway, I think personally, is to include local communities. It's really important. Like I'm French, I'm so very obviously French. So I'm not from here, you know? And so when I come, people are not like, oh, it's a Cambodian who knows Cambodia who wants to help us. No, they see a French in me. And so you need to involve people who understand the reality of the people you're trying to change the life from and to improve their situation. So that's my second take and one of the most important. Involve local community, always.
It's not only your product innovation.
But no, like the director of our NGO, they're both Cambodian. The vast majority of the staff is Cambodia, and they know so much better than me, like what is the reality that they're facing. And so that's the very important thing. It's like involve local, and they're eager. Like I mentioned, like they are building blocks, like the community on our level, they are building blocks for us because they know we're going to deploy them in the area,
in their home,
in their own area, in their home. And so it's like correlated, all linked together. So I think that would be the two takeaway. And maybe the last one would be there.
We cannot stop.
No, man, it's like
dare to do it.
Like they try it. Don't hesitate.
It's only one solution. You say it's only 500 finally.
Yeah,
$500
one for one, like, but it's our example, but in general, like, just there, you know, try. Like, if you don't do it, no one's going to do it for you. Just don't hesitate.
Thank you so much,
I
Tanguy.
promise I stop now.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It was really cool.